Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Patty Artesa, and I'm the Director of Public and Government Affairs for AAA Northeast. I want to welcome everyone to our webinar on trust insurance to protect what's most important to you. Our panelists today are Steve Holland, and Steve is the Senior Commercial Line Sales Manager who works out of Providence, Rhode Island. We also have Jonathan Francois, I always pronounce it wrong, I'm sorry, Jonathan, who's the sales leader in Worcester, Mass. At the end of this presentation, we'll have about 10 minutes for questions and answers that you can submit on the chat bar. And as I mentioned in your invitation, AAA has been providing insurance service to members in the public since 1933, making us the leaders in the personal lines industry. AAA offers several insurance products from auto, including RVs, home to life, commercial, and many more. And they are all tailored to the individual need of the insured. Last Wednesday, we provided you with information on auto, home, and recreational vehicle insurance. And we do have it recorded, so you can visit AAA.com YouTube to watch last week's video if you have an interest in any one of those types of insurance. And today, we're going to be providing to you the information on commercial, life, and other insurances and special benefits that we give to our AAA members. Our first panelist today is Steve, and Steve is our Senior Commercial Line Sales Manager. Steve has 28 years of experience in the insurance industry. For the first 15 years of his career, he worked for Progressive, USAA, and Nationwide in claims, underwriting, management, and training and development. In 2008, he began working with large and medium-sized companies to enhance their risk management program with the use of traditional insurance and group product experience. Steve came to AAA Northeast in 2018, and since then he and his team have increased small business new premiums by 100% annually. That is what an accomplishment, Steve. Congratulations. Steve does live in Wakefield, Rhode Island with his wife, Katie, and their 4 children. And Steve, in his free time, he enjoys coaching all his children's football games, basketball, golf, baseball, softball, and soccer. Steve, you're pretty busy and active. So good for you. I think it's wonderful. So thank you, Steve. And we're going to have you present first. So go ahead.
Well, thank you, Patty, and thank you for that. And thank you, everybody, for spending a few minutes with us today to learn about our small business insurance team here at AAA. So about 3 years ago, many of our members and our insureds were coming to us with their small business needs. And what we found was that they were highly underserved. The process was tedious. People would have to go and fill out these 20-page applications, submit them to their agents, and then at that point, would wait 2, 3, sometimes months, to get a quote back. And we just felt 3 years ago that there's a better way to do this. So in here on this slide, you can see we have, at AAA, we have our own team now that's, dedicated to small business insurance. When I say small business, I mean companies that are about 10 million in sales or less, less than 25 employees, less than, 10 vehicles, less than 300,000 in payroll on an annual basis. That's really our sweet spot. And that's really the part of the marketplace that we thought was completely underserved. And let me tell you, I mean, it's been a great 3 years, catering to this business clientele, because this, in my eyes, is really, the backbone, the blood of our country. And especially, going through this pandemic, I can't tell you how many just wonderful conversations I had with small business owners. Their resiliency, through this pandemic, being able to adjust their business, or I can remember conversations saying, a little pandemic's not going to put me under. I'm going to find a way. So we really love, our small business customers. And, it says here dedicated, but we're like obsessed to be quite frank with you, on creating just a better, what we think is a better, more convenient, faster, more knowledgeable experience, for our small commercial customers. And it all starts with our accessibility right here on this page. So we have branches throughout the Northeast. You can walk in and visit, with an agent in one of our branches. You can call us on our direct line, which is, posted right there. Something that's been really, really popular, especially, through the pandemic, is scheduling an appointment. It allows, the business owner to gather, the information they need to have on hand. We're also doing video chats very similar to what we're doing right now. And those have been, really, really successful. We've taken, going from, it took us, somewhere between 3 weeks to, sometimes months to quote somebody. We've transformed that into a high touch, high tech experience using both of those. And I'm happy to say now most of our clients, we can quote, bind, issue, put a certificate in their hand in anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. So that's been incredible. So we'll hop to the next slide. So this is what the experience is like when you come in and you do business with us. The first thing we're going to do, our agents, is really dig into and understand your legal obligations in the state that you're operating in. Understand the contracts, that you need to sign, the lease agreements that you need to sign. So those are things that we like to have handy and we like to discuss. An example of that would be, workers' compensation. Many of our states, once you hire that first employee, you need workers' compensation. We'll explain to you how that works and, certainly find the best coverage at the best price for you as far as that's coverage is concerned. And we'll talk about that a little bit further. Also, just knowing your industry's risks, okay? Sometimes people will go online and, they get what they think they need, but every business is different. Right, and on purpose, right? Every business is different. An accountant, their exposure risks are a lot different than the restaurant, risk. So, really digging into, with our experienced agents who have over, 130 years combined commercial lines experience, we'll really dig into your specific industry and what are the things that we see from a claim standpoint, and what are the things that we need to cover for you. The third thing is making sure you shop your insurance with multiple carriers. As I mentioned, not every commercial policy is the same, not every business is the same. So there's not a carrier out there that does everything. So you need to have a broad group of A-rated carriers. That's all we work with is A-rated carriers when you're quoting your business insurance. And last but not least, and this is kind of the difficult part, is you got to read your quotes, you got to read your policies. And sometimes the jargon that's in there is very complicated. So it's nice to have an expert on the line to kind of walk you through that, understand the differences of the coverages that are being offered. And what we really try and stress to our business clients, and I think they understand this a little bit better than the average personal lines customer, is you really want to choose coverage over cost. You can get the cheapest policy in the world, business policy in the world, but if it doesn't cover anything and you have that claim, guess what? You're paying a lot of money for insurance. So we really stress that to our client. We want you to choose coverage over cost. Cost is always an issue, but the coverage is more important. So if we can hop to the next slide. And here's just a small list of the carriers that we work with. Some names you recognize, some names you don't. So we do have some really good regional carriers and specific niches for our clients that we'll utilize, but we're going to do a broad-based, a survey of the marketplace to make sure that you are paying the absolute least amount for the coverage that you need. We'll go hop to the next slide. So let's get into some of the coverages we offer here in our business insurance. So the first, right out of the gate, is general liability. So What is general liability? So right here, the slide shows it offers protection for your business in case of third-party claims, such as bodily injury or property damage. When we say that, it also provides legal assistance. Sometimes you don't do anything wrong, and unfortunately, anybody can sue you for anything. So the legal expense that comes along with it is another piece of the pie that you need to take into account when you're starting a business. So why have it? You know, general liability, this is the core coverage, right? It's essentially important business that physically, anytime you're physically interacting with customers or you're going to people's property, they're going to want you to have general liability. And many times, especially the contractors, a lot of contractors that we work with, you can't get on a job site unless you have general liability coverage, a certificate of insurance showing that you have that coverage. So it's an essential coverage, and it's kind of our baseline where we start. We'll hop to the next slide. So you're like, geez, wow, Steve, that sounds really expensive. You know, that's, you know, I have, you know, I run into a lot of stuff, but you'd be surprised. Here's a kind of a list of, you know, common, you know, businesses that we insure here at AAA, small businesses, landscapers, electricians, plumbers, HVAC, janitorial, salons, barbershops. A lot of in-home businesses, and I point that one out because we're in the midst of the gig economy. I think it's 60 million right now and growing. People that have side gigs. They may have a job, but on the side, they're starting a business. They have side gigs. Restaurants, real estate, flippers, right? The folks that are buying dilapidated, you know, residential and renting them out. Dwelling owners, right? Again, you know, as an investment, you know, buying and renting out homes. We do a lot of nonprofit organizations, as many of you know. We are not for profit, and we have a lot of synergies with you know, nonprofit organizations, and then condos rented to others. And right here is just a list of what the minimum premiums are. Now, obviously, you know, depending on the business and the size of the business and the exposure of the business, it goes up. But here it's kind of a starting point. And as you can see, you know, you're looking at, you know, maybe, you know, for some of these folks, one job that will cover your annual premium. So good reason to reach out, you know, to one of our AAA agents and have the discussion. So if we can hop to the next slide.
You know, Steve, that's a very impressive list. It is amazing how many insurance coverages out there. So right. I'm hoping that the people that are watching that are AAA members really make a phone call to us.
Yeah, absolutely. As we move on, you know, we'll talk about, you know, business owner policies. Now, this is kind of similar to, you know, an HO3, where it packages both your property and general liability coverages together in one kind of an efficient manner, where you're picking up, you know, a bunch of different coverages that are, you know, kind of thrown in for free. So anytime that we can get a small business owner on a BOP policy, not all qualify for a BOP policy, but anytime we do, when they have obviously the general liability exposure, but they also have equipment or property, or they have a storefront, or they own a building or something along those lines, we're looking to, you know, get them on a business owner policy, because it is by far the most efficient. A lot of coverage, you know, comes with that, you know, protects them both from a general liability standpoint and a property standpoint. So I use the example of, you know, a storefront. If somebody slips and falls, you know, in your storefront, your BOP policy will cover it. Any type of fire or, you know, damage to your property is covered also. So again, not everybody is eligible for a BOP. Never every business is, we can write a BOP on, but we certainly look to go that route, you know, for any of our small businesses that both have a general liability and property exposure. It's an efficient way to get, you know, good coverage at a low cost. We'll flip to the next slide. Commercial auto insurance. It is what it says, right? Any vehicles on the road, we gotta insure them, Patty, right? So very similar, you know, to your personal lines auto policy, with a little differences. But when you have a vehicle that you've made alterations for, that is a certain weight in a lot of our states, it's over 10,000 gross vehicle weight, has to go commercial. Or if you're using your your vehicle, for business purposes, it needs to be commercial because it will be excluded from your personal lines policy. If you have employees that are using their own vehicles in the course of business, you need a business owner, a commercial auto policy. We have, this is kind of our bread and butter. We have a lot of carriers, and depending on the risk, we can shop and make sure that you're paying the least amount. There's a lot of new enhancements, as we said, the technology, a lot of changes are going on in the commercial space. One of those being, sharing your data with the carrier is a great way with some of our carriers. It's a great way for the business owner to know where their vehicle is during the day. In addition, it's a great way for the business owners to control how their employees are driving their vehicles. And lastly, it's a great way to save money. If you have safe drivers and they're adhering to your your rules when they're behind your vehicle with the name of your company on the side, you're going to be rewarded for that and pay less in premium. So a lot of great things going on. So those are options that we love talking to businesses about. How can they control their expenses on commercial auto? And we have various ways that we can do that. So if we can hop to the next slide. So professional liability, sometimes called errors in omission, sometimes called malpractice. Okay, so anytime you're in the business of providing a professional service or some type of advice, us as insurance agents, right? We're providing advice. We need professional liability insurance. That's not covered under the standard general liability policy. We need a separate policy, a professional liability policy. Accountants, lawyers, sometimes it will be, coined differently. Lawyers, professional liability, or practice, malpractice, but it's basically all the same thing. Anytime that you're providing professional advice. And the neat thing about this, which is not part of the general liability, this protects you for somebody who incurs financial harm because of your advice. So a very important coverage, and sometimes, we find overlooked. If you're in the business of providing advice, providing a professional services, it's very important for you to have professional liability insurance. And lots of the contracts that you're signing are probably requiring it. So an important coverage, to have if you're in that type of business. Flip to the next slide. So cyber liability, a hot topic right now, especially with all of us working out of our homes and being so reliant on our cell phones, on our computers. This is an emerging coverage, which is not covered under your standard general liability. So if your business collects or stores any personal identifiable information called PII, you need to take a look at purchasing, cyber liability coverage. Whether you're storing your customers' information or storing your employees' information, you could be subject to a breach. And let me tell you, the average cyber claim is over $80,000 because you're going to need to be setting up credit monitoring. You're going to incur fines and penalties and notification costs. It adds up very, very fast. So the one thing we do like about, and the carriers that we have that do this, when we take an application for cyber liability, they actually go through and take a look at your cyber policy and see what you have in place and what you should have in place. And that's how it's rated. So just going through the process and having an outside source kind of look at your standards as far as cyber, that's worth the money right then and there. And you can make the decision if you need it or not, or can afford it. I can tell you it's been very popular, and it's something that we're doing a lot of, certainly in the last year. A lot of small businesses are the ones that, believe me, they're not going after the Home Depots or the Walmarts anymore. They have very sophisticated, security. They're going after the little guys that work for Home Depot or Walmart or whoever, That's their entry point. So our small business customers are targets, and we want to be there, to let them know about this coverage.
You
We
know,
can just
Steve, did that increase whenever, like a year ago, March, when COVID really hit and everyone started working from home? Did your policy, did you see an increase or influx in policy?
Absolutely. I think when businesses needed to change, and
Yes.
especially employees are trying to gain access to their intranet, I guess, of their business, it was an opportunity for cyber criminals to kind of jump in. Their business went through the roof, right? So and I think it really woke up a lot of businesses too to say, hey, we need to take a look at this too. So they, instead of pushing, kicking this can down the road, they became a little bit more interested in it. And we've discovered a lot of things over the past year. But every day, if you pull up, there's a cyber breach going on somewhere or somehow. And we just don't want any of our customers to be unprotected. So it's something that we talk to you about when we meet with you and we're putting together your program. But,
I think that's great that you do ask to research it ahead of time to see what they are missing out on, because I'm sure there's a lot out there that they probably.
Yeah, and I don't want to say that it's it's encumbersome, right? It's very simple. It's a couple pages and some questions that they ask just to know what policies and procedures you have in place. And sometimes it triggers something for the business owner, like, wow, I didn't know I could do that, or it was that easy to do. The one thing I think we all miss in insurance is when you buy a policy, the services that an insurer will provide free of cost, because they don't want you to have claims, right? So the services that they can provide to you, whether it be background checks, reduced background checks, whether it be safety manuals and procedures and everything along those lines, those come along with the insurance policy. And it helps you. The best claim you have is the one you never have, right? And that you can prevent. So and all of our carriers provide those resources to our insureds. So we'll hop to the next slide. And we kind of put this in here. So special events, and we do this in our commercial unit. So for businesses that hold special events, also, it's kind of popular, weddings, birthday parties. We see a lot of folks that live in large condo associations. They need to rent, the banquet hall. So they need a certificate of insurance, and they need $1 million in coverage in order to rent that. So we've partnered with a company called USLI and CoverSmart, in which you can go right to our website and get a quote for your event. It provides, in certain situations, if you need liquor liability is provided at a very, very low cost. They're starting at about $195, per event. So to get the coverage that you need, very simple. If you go to our website, there's a link right there. You can get a quote on that. If you have questions, we have our agents, available to answer any questions, regarding your event, to make sure that it's insured. Now, these have kind of slowed down in the past year, but they're starting to ramp up. We're starting to see them now. People are rescheduling their weddings and their events. Businesses are starting to come back. So it's nice to see, and this is a important coverage that we have. So, and jump to the next slide. So I just wanted to go through, as Patty mentioned, over the past 3 years, we've grown tremendously, 100% each year. We write over 1,000 new pieces of business each year, our team. And these are some of the pitfalls that we see when clients are coming to us, whether it be, they're just starting their business or they've been in business for 20 years. These are the pitfalls that we see. So again, we talked about it real quick, choosing the cheapest policy. that's not going to do you any good at the time of a loss, and it's actually going to cost you more. So you need to have that discussion, with a commercial insurance expert, and that's what we're here for. So the second one is just not buying enough liability coverage. So kind of the rule of thumb, it's usually 5 times, what your revenue is, should be what you should be buying for liability limits, is really a great answer to this. I mean, more coverage, what you can afford from a liability perspective. Like I said, when you do have a claim and it's a class action suit, costs can add up very, very fast, and the defense costs that go along with it. Automatically choosing the lowest deductible. If you want to, reduce the cost of your insurance, take a look at different deductible types, and our team, find that sometimes businesses come to us with very low deductibles, and they never talked about it, and it's a good opportunity, to save some money, figure out, okay, what can my business withstand, and set the deductible at the appropriate amount. This is a big one. The next one, failure to adjust coverage with business growth and changes. Okay, so as a business grows, we have a lot of small businesses or businesses that come to us, and they haven't reviewed their policy 2-3 years. It's something that they got when they started, off a business. Now the business has grown, and it's different. The exposures are different. The actual what they do is different. So you need to each year, get with an agent and kind of review your business, what you're doing, making sure the activities that are going on in your business are covered. Failure to read and understand the policy. Very simple. It's not fun, but you need to take a look at your policy and read the policy. And if you have questions, you need to have somebody to reach out to, and that's what we're here for. This is a big one, and we see this quite often, buying insufficient property limits. So in every, business owner policies, there's this co-insurance clause. And if you're not up to the 80% of what the replacement cost is now this can be a multitude of things, your inventory, your business, whatever, you need to make sure you're in line with that, because the worst thing to do is to get hit with a co-insurance penalty. An example of that is, say, you have a small fire in your building, and the claim's $100,000. If you weren't insured properly, you may only walk with $30,000 to $40,000 because of the co-insurance clause. So something that you need to not only have a good understanding when you come in, you buy that policy for the first time, but something that needs to be updated on an annual basis. Another big one, potential failure to insure potential business income losses. And this kind of goes back to the business owner policy we talked about. There's a coverage in there that's called business interruption. And what that does is, after you have a loss, you still have ongoing expenses as a business. You still have payroll, you still have electricity, you may have some other things that you still need to pay. Even though your business is closed, it's not open, you have these expenses that need to be paid. And this is the absolute #1 reason why businesses after a loss don't go back to business, because they failed to buy the right amount of business interruption or business income loss when they set up the policy. Also, there's another coverage that kind of goes hand in hand with it, is extra expense. So you have a loss at one building, now you need to set up shop somewhere else. So figuring out what would cost you to set up, your business somewhere else, we can cover that, through our business owner policy, and we can walk you through the calculation on what exactly that is. So a very, very important coverage that you want an agent, to kind of discuss with you and do a calculation on what you'll need in the event that your business needs to be shut down due to a fire, due to a theft, whatever the case may be. So not properly listing entities. Again, when we do business, it's not Steve Holland, it's Holland Enterprises LLC. That needs to be done on the policy. And if that's not done, we get a lot of deck pages. Right now, it's not done properly. We're not covering the entire organization. We're just covering Steve Holland. The entity's left out in the wind with no coverage. So we do run into that. So making sure that when you do set up a new entity, you add it on to the policy. And then last but not least is sticking with one carrier too long. That's not to say it's not good, to develop a relationship with a carrier, but about every 3 years, you need to go out and test the waters. Things change so quickly in the small business space that you need to go out and make sure that you're getting the best coverage for the best price, or if there's another carrier out there, and that's kind of what we do. So if we can just hop to the next slide.
What's interesting, Steve, is that's what I learned out of last week's webinar, was that really look at it after a couple of years, your policy. And it's amazing, the calls we made last week in between, there was a lot lower out there.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Good advice.
Absolutely.
Good advice.
Yeah, yeah. But again, there's all kinds of ways to get in touch with us. We love to, earn your business. Stop in a branch, call us, schedule a nice video call, with us, schedule a phone call. We have created something here that, in my opinion, is different and better than what's in the marketplace. We're obsessed with speed, convenience, and making sure that you have the knowledge to make the best decisions to protect your business. We love our small business customers, and we'd love to have you as one of them. So thank you. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my friend, John.
All right, Steve, thank you very much. You gave a lot of very valuable information. And again, we will be posting this on our website. So if you want to view later or look at the contacts, keep in mind we have 71 branches within our footprint. So there's always somewhere to go to if you want to speak in person. So as Steve just mentioned, our next presenter is Jonathan. And Jonathan is our insurance sales leader for the Worcester, Mass region. Jonathan has over 15 years of experience in the insurance industry. In 2013, Jonathan joined AAA Northeast as an insurance agent. He was soon promoted to the role of the senior agent and then sales leader in 2018. Jonathan has also assisted in the training and development of new licensed agents. In 2018, Jonathan was awarded the Agency President Circle by selling more than 700 policies in 1 year. Jonathan, that's quite an accomplishment. Congratulations.
Thank you.
He was also recently awarded the top sales team leader in 2019. He focused and expertise are in the agent and sales development. He strives for 5 diamond service with all of his members, and that's good to hear. Jonathan is a proud parent of 2 beautiful girls, and he is also an active musician, guitar collector over the past 25 years. He did have a background up earlier, and it was up guitars, so you truly do. Welcome, Jonathan.
Well, thank you, Patty, and thank you, Steve. Just want to welcome everyone, and as Patty mentioned, basically, I'm a proud parent of 2 beautiful girls, so they are my world, and I want to protect them. So as we talk about life insurance, right? I have a term life policy to help them in the event that something were to happen. But believe it or not, I actually have insured them under my life insurance policy as well, using a child rider. So I'm also a lifelong asthmatic and was able to get a policy with my condition. So just to kind of, piggyback on a few things, there are things that we can do, right, to try and take that next step, right, towards helping everyone get a policy. So just to try and, dwell on, say, my goal today is to help everyone understand life insurance and how it can be used to plan a more secure financial future. It's worth mentioning a few words about risk and managing risks, which is a fundamental part of financial planning. All right, even if you are saving and thinking you're doing everything right, to plan for your future and how it can be derailed by unanticipated events, like an unexpected accident or any situation. So I'm hoping that we can identify a few areas of risk and mitigating a few factors to help you plan towards a more solid financial future. All right, so life insurance is an important part of financial planning as it helps protect the people that you care about the most. And just to kind of quote my colleague Steve here, it's a selfless act on your part to your family and your loved ones. So I really love that, how we put that. So, you know, it is the ultimate selfless thing that you can do to help protect your family and your loved ones. So, um, AAA is here to help, and just going to go over some information to help you achieve your financial planning and security. So things like managing risk. What are my needs? What type of life insurance policy do I need? How much is enough? How long will I need coverage? This can be personalized to you and your family, and our AAA licensed life insurance agents can help you get there. So remember, life insurance is about filling in the gaps. So what are your gaps, right? And that's something that we can help you identify. So again, protecting your loved ones, just start on the first slide here with, you know, protecting loved ones. I have two beautiful girls. I think about them every day, right? I'm hoping that we can get the zip line and the water slide going, that the weather's starting to warm up. So, you know, at the end of the day, you know, I often wonder, so, you know, well, what if something did happen to me, right? So what can I do to help them, right? To make sure that they're going to be secure in their future, right? So it's going to give me a peace of mind, right? Knowing that I have a policy, you know, in the event that something were to happen to me, I don't have to think about it. It's done. It's over with, right? So it can alleviate financial burdens to the family. So if I had something like, you know, say a mortgage, right? It's something I don't want to leave that financial burden on my family, right? And last and most important, it is affordable. So we can go to the next slide, please. All right, so there's different types of life insurance policies at AAA that we can use. You have term life, whole life, and universal life. Term life, right, if you think about it, it means what it says, is you can purchase a policy for a specific length of time. We have 10 to 30-year options. The premium does not change over the policy period. Some people might refer to that as what's called level term, meaning the policy remains level, or the premium level the whole term. It does not change for that 10 to 30-year period. Now you can purchase a policy that's 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25, 30 years, right? And the minimum death benefit, okay, that's the benefit, that's what you would get in the event that something happens, right, starts at 100,000, okay? You'll see in the next few slides that we can go up to 750,000. The whole life insurance, so what is whole life? You think of what is your whole life, right? That's literally what it says, right? It actually insures you, right, from the time, and it goes up until you're 100 years old, okay? All right, so it can be purchased for the entire lifetime. The policy doesn't expire before then, okay? And there is potential for cash value accumulation, right? You can actually use it as an investment tool in some way, right? It can be used as a final expense policy and is a fixed premium over that time, okay? Universal life insurance, it's permanent coverage for your entire lifetime, right? There's a potential for a cash value. You can access that cash. There's a potential to borrow against the value while you're alive. So you can actually go into that policy and borrow against that, that benefit that you have, okay? But it's very similar to a whole life policy, and it's a flexible premium, okay? Very different than a level term where that premium stays the same, right? It can actually go up over time, okay? Or it can go down, right? Depending on how you choose in that mode that you're going to pay. So next slide, please. Right, so what does life insurance cover? Again, see the financial expenses, right? So make sure that you plan for any, let's say, estate or inheritance taxes, unpaid benefits, including hospital bills, funeral expenses, because educational funds help cover the cost of your children's education from elementary school all the way through college. So for example, right, my policy, if something were to happen to me, I want to make sure that my girls can go to school and go to college that they want to go to, right? And that's going to be there for them, all right? It can be used as an emergency fund in the case of sudden lifestyle changes to you and your family. It can help cover unexpected expenses, okay? It can help pay for mortgage and rent, right? to plan for monthly expenses for all the mortgages and assistance and rent payments, all right? Income replacement, all right? Provides protection for loss of income, right? If something happens, if you're unable to work, right, that policy is gonna be there for you. The payment of debts, right? So it helps your family with the payment of unsettled debts, including auto loans and credit cards. So if I had any unexpected debts, say like a car loan or a mortgage, right, it's going to be there to help you pay for those items. Next slide, please. Okay, so AAA Life Insurance, okay. This is one of our carriers, right? We actually have our own life insurance brand, okay? And not only that, if you're a member, there's a discount, right? So you can get up to $750,000 in term coverage, which is fast and convenient, an accelerated underwriting application process for ages 18 to 60. There's no medical exam, okay, is required regardless of the risk classification, and you may qualify, or AAA members can save up to 15% off the first annual policy premium. All right, so that's available in Connecticut, Mass, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and New Hampshire. Next slide, please. SBIL. So SBIL is available in Mass, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and New Hampshire. And believe it or not, it's actually, SBIL is located in Massachusetts. It's in Woburn, okay? And the carrier that we have an option, you can do the same, is to get up to $750,000 of term coverage with the fast and convenient accelerated underwriting application process, okay, from 18 to 60. So a lot of people that were thinking about applying for life insurance at the beginning of what would have been the pandemic, right, when we were going through it, they were concerned about, am I gonna need a medical exam, or am I gonna need something that I have to go to see a doctor to see if I qualify for that, okay? And how long is it gonna take? So the accelerated underwriting application process speeds that up, right? You wouldn't believe how fast you can get a policy. You call a AAA agent, right? We take down all of your information, and they can actually do a phone interview over the phone for the medical questionnaire and ask you about what health concerns that you may have, okay? Right? So regardless of the risk or the classification that you can qualify, you still get a 15% discount off your premium as a AAA member, okay? All right, and the next slide, please. So Century Life Insurance, okay? This is our carrier that we have available in the state of Connecticut, okay? So you can get up to $750,000 of term coverage with the fast and convenient accelerated underwriting application process from ages 18 to 60, okay? There's no medical exam that's required, regardless of the risk classification, right, that you may qualify for. In AAA members, you can get an additional 15% off the first year premium, or in Century Life Insurance on a term policy. The first year discount applies to policy terms of 20 years or longer. So it must be 20 years or longer in the state of Connecticut. So again, that is our Connecticut carrier that's available only in that state. So, next slide, please. And additional coverages that AAA can offer, right? We have dental insurance, accident coverage, travel insurance, and pet insurance. Dental insurance says there's two different dental carriers that we go through, and so Altus is one of them. But what we recommend for any of these items, it'd be dental, accidental, travel, or pet insurance, is that you reach out to a AAA agent, okay? And we can help steer you in the direction to contact any one of those carriers, okay? So for something like travel insurance, if you think about it, right, if you're traveling now, the pandemic is starting to lighten up a little bit. So if people are going to start traveling again, I know I want to go places. I know that, I haven't been outside for quite a long time to go on a trip, but I'm hoping that I can do so pretty soon. But I do know that I'm going to try and purchase some type of travel insurance, and I'm going to reach out to one of our travel agents that can help me obtain one of those policies. Pet insurance, the example, that's another thing. You can reach out to one of our AAA agents and we can steer you in that direction and say, well, why would I want to insure my pet? No, my neighbor has a perfect example. Her dog, right, had a hip issue, okay? I guess it's very common for that breed, right? And she bought a very inexpensive policy for her pet, okay? And the cost of that policy over the 5 years actually added up to the same cost of what the surgery would have actually been to pay for that injury, which is pretty remarkable if you think about that. So it's, again, it's all about managing your risk, right? Next slide, please.
I think that's an important one, Jonathan, is the pet insurance. I think people really don't realize that that option is out there and how costly really any type of veterinary medical bill is.
Right, right. You know, if you have Jake or Lulu or whatever your dog's name may be, or Thumper and Flower or whatever, you know. So, you know, my daughters, they have 2 cats, so, you know, we made sure that we got that insurance with that. Is just that, by God, if something happens to them, you want to make sure that we can do at least something. So,
Yeah, I have it on our dog as well.
right, right. So, so ways to get in touch, again, so you can visit a branch, right? Any one of our, there's 70 some odd locations, okay? You can call one of our agents at the 800 number there, is the 888-764-2539, or you can schedule, right, a video or a phone call, or even schedule an appointment with one of the agents in the branch, okay? So again, that's in 5 states for the life insurance: Connecticut, Mass, Rhode Island, New Jersey, and New Hampshire. At this time, okay, for New York, right, what we're doing is we have a direct mail program, okay? If those are in New York, if you're interested in life insurance, you can reach out to one of the agents and we can try and help you achieve the policy through our direct mail program. So, okay, so.
Jonathan, again, great presentation. And you both, Jonathan and Steve, you must have done an outstanding job, because at this time we have no questions. So I do want to thank you both for taking the time to present such great information on commercial life and other insurance needs. I learn something every time I hold one of these webinars, and I'm sure our members did as well. I also would like to thank all of our viewers who have signed on to this webinar today. Please visit your branches. Go in just for a quote. It's worth your time. And a special thank you goes out to Janet Brown, Shawnee, and Mark Shildrop for all their continued support in preparing and working with me to present the information today. Please, everyone, stay safe and make time to check out AAA Northeast Insurance Service plans at any of your branches in your footprint. Thank you very much and have a wonderful day.